Hey Dad, you've been a funeral director for 40 years now. What advice do you have for people wanting to keep funeral costs down?
Well, there's a large number of straightforward things, some obvious and some not so, that people can do to keep costs down. To start with, getting good advice to be able to make informed key decisions is a great way to begin. So choosing well, I think, is the first thing you need to do. Choosing well covers really choosing a funeral director who you trust and can talk to. Because if they're going to give you advice on how to keep costs down, you need to make sure their advice is the sort of advice you want to hear. I know that sounds a bit weird, but there's no point in you just ringing a funeral home, getting the first person. If you don't get on with them, giving up. You should actually just do a bit of legwork. I think go on a website, do a bit of search, see who the staff are, start with a picture. Who in the team do you like the look of? You think that they'll actually match with you. And once you've chosen someone, ring them up. And if they're not the right person, try again. So it's choosing that person. And once you talk with them, you'll know whether you can get good advice out of them or not. Because humans are humans. Some of us are great at that sort of stuff, matching up with your personality, others not so. You might want someone more formal, someone more relaxed, someone who gives a lot of information, someone who just gives key points. So that's the first thing. And also think about the company. So a company that does things the way you want price-wise. So no markups, for instance. There are funeral companies who will put on a percentage, 10, 15, 20, in some cases even 50% on some things like newspaper notices, flowers, cemetery fees, catering. Our company, as some don't put any markups on anything. And then there's some, again, like us, who will actually give you the discount they get from some of those suppliers. So it can be actually cheaper for you to use the funeral home sometimes than doing it yourself. A really good example of that would be, I had a gentleman the other day who didn't even find out what we charged for printing service sheets. So he went and got them printed separately, came back and cited how it cost him $4 a sheet to print these wonderful service sheets when we would have charged $2 because we do it in-house, so our costs are not so great as someone external. Another example of that really is to look at quotes and estimates. So look at the funeral home itself. Will they give an estimate, a quote every time? Yes, we do. And we also do not just at the time of the funeral, but beforehand. And would also make sure that you have a real understanding through transparency. So for instance, Josh, who was my son, just introducing things before, Josh has a master's in computer engineering and is designing an estimate calculator for us at the moment. So rather than just doing something manual, some people don't want to talk to someone. They want to just go and find out on the net. So on our website, we're developing an estimate calculator. You can put in, I want $50 worth of flowers. I want $500 worth of flowers. I want to do the flowers myself from my garden. And each step along the way gives you the options of numbers and of places and types of things you want for your funeral. So you can get to the end and have a really good example of how much you want. So if you've estimated the funeral's going to cost $17,000 and you've only got 12, you go back and readjust and say, actually, maybe we won't have 4 newspaper notices. We'll only have 2 or 3. So choosing well, choosing your funeral director well, getting that good advice, choosing the right company are all really good places to start. Another place to look at is package deals, and I'll talk about that in the next video.